So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have back with us Helen Underwood, who's director at Underwood Training Ltd. So, firstly, Helen, thank you for coming back and spending a bit more time with us. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, Underwood Training, what you do, how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Thanks, Chris. My absolute pleasure to come back. I can't believe it's been nearly a year, hasn't it?
Yes, I know, it's ages ago.
A lot has happened in that time.
Yeah.
So I'm Helen Underwood from the very imaginatively named Underwood Training First Aid. I used to be a physiotherapist in my former career in the NHS, and I worked particularly in intensive care and paediatrics, and then morphed away from first aid through the routes of sports coaching and then into first aid training. And then latterly into also delivering first aid for mental health, which I really enjoy as it's a real break from jumping up and down on the mannequins. So we help businesses in a number of areas. Number one is obviously we help them with their compliance, their legal requirements for having first aiders within the workplace. And as a part of that, if businesses are not sure what they actually need, I offer a no obligation first aid risk assessment review with the relevant persons in the business. There's no obligation to come with us, but I'll help you work out what you need. And please do get in touch if that's of interest with me direct or through the website. You can fill in a form, include your contact details, and then I'll get in contact with yourself either way. We also obviously help businesses with not just their legal requirements, but also in terms of, things like team building and other areas. So one of the things that I've just started in the last 6 months, which I've really been enjoying, is actually going into businesses and doing wellbeing workshops, which is something that is sort of a spin-off, if you like, from the first aid for mental health, but it's much shorter, non-accredited sessions sort of targeted at those in the business, and I'll have a chat with the person organising it as to what they want to get out of it. So I'm thinking of a company that I went to recently, and they're website designers, and they have a team of about 9, 10 people.
Yeah.
And we spent some time looking at, what is mental health, because we all do have mental health. What is mental well-being? We looked at stress busters. We looked at some breath work techniques. We looked at some gratitudes. We looked at all sorts of things around mindfulness and personal well-being, and basically lots of tips for looking after our own selves so
Yes.
that we can look after those others in our businesses and in our communities as well. So that was really exciting to do, and it is something that I've sort of started actually being headhunted to do, which is really exciting.
Yes.
It's not something I've thought to do, but it's something I got asked to do. So that's fantastic. Other ways we help businesses. As you know, we spoke last time, didn't we, about the First Aid for Parents course that
Yes.
I've just got a real passion for getting first aid out into our communities as a parent. And
Brilliant.
many employees are parents. But it's gone live. We are now live, Chris.
Wonderful.
Got a number of
Congratulations.
people signed up and doing the course or completed the course, which is really exciting. Great feedback so far.
Brilliant.
An employer, actually, it's investing in your employees
Yes.
if you're actually giving them something.
Yep.
And it's just £30 a head. I've got to charge something to cover the running of the digital side of it.
Yes.
So it's not an expensive outlay. But if you offered that to any staff who would like it as an employer,
Yep.
fantastic way of boosting the first aid knowledge within your staff team beyond your first aiders, but
Great.
also investing in your staff
Yep.
and making them feel that actually, you know, you're really valuing them as a parent.
Yes.
We're very lucky because as I work for myself, I can put a big line through the vast majority of school holidays. But I've also got a husband whose employer is incredibly child friendly. If I've got training running and small persons poorly, he's able to cover
Oh,
if
brilliant.
need be. So, it really is time that all businesses, don't you agree, wake up to the fact that the vast majority of our employees are parents
Yep.
or carers of others
Yes.
for whatever reason. And actually, if we can empower them to know some basic first aid skills for
Brilliant.
they're out of work, it's just got that positive effect in the workplace as well. Should the first aiders need a helping hand? So yeah, so fantastic.
Yeah, because they're not always around, are they? I mean, that's the
Well, they
reality.
should be, and this is the thing, legally, there's that lovely little phrase in the HSE legislation, at least one, which
Great.
really needs at least two to cover
Yes.
things like annual leave. So it's these things I'll look at on the risk assessment,
Brilliant.
doing it and help people get their heads around.
Brilliant. Fabulous. So, as you say, it's nearly 12 months since we last spoke, and I mean, as well as the parents course that you've done, I'm keen to know what other changes you've had in the business. I think there's been quite a lot going on.
There has been a huge amount going on. Our wonderful admin person had to leave for personal reasons. I have now got the amazing Joanne, who is fantastic and picking up all sorts of bits and pieces. So she'll soon have her bio live on the website because she's fairly new to us, just
Great.
catching up. But she's the main point of contact now for people, which is fabulous. And really excitingly, just literally opened the email this morning, Monday today, isn't it? We've just found out that we've been awarded the Best First Aid Training Provider 2025 for the Yorkshire region on the UK Enterprise Awards 2025.
Wonderful.
Such an honour to have been given that. Absolutely thrilled because it just shows, our attention to detail in terms of customer service and the passion and commitments, not from myself, just myself, but from the whole staff team.
Brilliant.
Underwood Training. So really excited, and I'll be shouting about that on social media later on this week for sure.
Brilliant. I do hope so. And obviously it's room for celebration, or cause for celebration, I should say. And I often find that entrepreneur-driven people aren't that great at celebrating. They're always looking at what's yet to be done rather than what has been achieved. How good are you at celebrating in general?
I'm getting there. It's the answer. I think as a founder who works in the business as well as on the business, and I think
Yep.
this is true for many smaller
Yes.
businesses, we've got such a lot to do. We sometimes just forget to pause and reflect.
Yep.
But one of the things that I am teaching people to do when I'm teaching the first aid for mental health, and when I'm teaching these, the mindfulness and the
Yes.
well-being ups, is I'm teaching about celebrating the wins.
Brilliant.
And every time I actually deliver a course, I'm just mindful that actually I need to pause myself and
Yes.
just celebrate how far we've actually come. So I am getting a lot better at it, but I'm probably
Brilliant.
still guilty of not being as great as I could be at it, if I'm honest. Room for improvement, I think.
Room for improvement. Yeah, and it's I find it quite regularly that driven people don't. But as you rightly say, and I mean, for me, it's about building resilience. It is, it builds that resilience of, if we've celebrated and embedded the successes when it gets tough, and when we're challenged by the toughness of it, we've got something to fall back on. No, we are great. Remember, we won that award. Remember, we've delivered these new courses. Remember, and it's really, really key, I think, to build that level of resilience.
Absolutely, 100%. And, we've been really privileged in this last 12 months. Yorkshire Wildlife Trust has got a new health and safety director. And having spoken with him and met with him, actually, we're now the preferred provider for that whole
Wow,
organisation. Yorkshire for their first aid provision, which is really exciting.
brilliant.
If you remember, we do bespoke first aid where we'll tailor it for the working environment.
Yes.
And so, vast majority of their staff, of course, are outdoor workers on the reserves. So
Yep.
they went to us for the outdoor incident management first aid course, and more recently, Mott MacDonald, who do a lot of surveys for remote work and things before builds and stuff happen.
Yep.
They're also using us for their more local staff as well. They're a vast organisation, so it's a real privilege to be working with them as well.
Brilliant.
And then there's some new construction firms on site for things like first aid at work. So we're working with a bigger range of businesses in more differing areas. But I think it's our niches of, firstly, actually making the courses specific to people's working environment, and it makes it much more easier to latch onto the learning when that's the case. And then also just our customer supports. If someone's got a desperate need to get somebody trained and we can squeeze them in somewhere, then we'll do our best to accommodate. So that's the two big strengths really.
Brilliant.
I think that's why we're attracting new businesses to us all the time.
Wonderful. It's great to hear, and obviously lots of great successes. If looking backwards over the last 12 months, have you had any significant challenges you could share, or anything that's not been quite as good as it could have been?
I think the biggest challenges is when I've been really busy with training and I'm just struggling to work on the business as
Yes.
well as in the business. I think that's been the biggest challenge this
Yes.
year. Thankfully, there's been no COVID hiatuses or anything else
Yes.
big. Of course, recruiting a new office admin is a little bit of a challenge while doing everything else because I've had to spend a lot of time with Joanne making sure she's used to our systems, and our booking system is really just takes some getting your head around. It's
Right.
integrated into the back end of the website, so it's unique to us. But she's picked that up brilliantly. But it's just the challenge of having enough time to do these things while delivering
Yes.
quite a lot of the training. As you know,
Yes.
I've other trainers that work with me, but I still do quite a large amount of it, which is what I enjoy, and I wouldn't want to give that up. So,
I think it's being true to ourselves. If we really enjoy what we do, the idea of never doing it is opposite to what we do. The only thing I do suggest it's worth considering is allocating a certain amount of time every week to work on it and stick to that. And the beauty of it, if we book it into our diary, then that becomes not free time. So that when we're then looking at booking a training course in, we don't fit, we're fitting it around the working on work that we do, if that makes sense.
absolutely. It just makes perfect sense. And, it's just, we also have this lovely thing of school terms being when all our open courses will run.
Of course, yes,
This is the other juggle. So I think we've just sort of hit the end of the summer term, the end of the school year, and that's why it's so extra busy at the moment. So
yes,
I am getting quite good at trying to limit myself to 3 days training in a week as a
brilliant.
general rule. But I
Yes.
am guilty that if there's a client that's desperate for something and I can, I will squeeze it in. So
That's good. That's good because there aren't any rights or wrongs, and it's good. It's good customer service, and people know that you care. And it's very clear to see how passionate you are about teaching people what you know. So that would be perfectly understandable, and I think it's the right thing to do. In all honesty,
absolutely. I guess the other big thing that's a bit of a change is I've got much better at doing the social media, which I see as a working on the business, but again, it still
yes,
takes time to do things and pieces. So I'm much more consistent with that.
brilliant,
And starting to build some great networks with other businesses through mediums like LinkedIn,
brilliant.
which is fabulous as well. So I think, like any business, word of mouth is still one of our big main selling points. As clients say, we've had a great experience here, go to Underwoods. But it is about building those relationships, isn't it?
Yeah,
And actually then working off the back of those.
definitely, definitely. And looking at both your wins and your challenges, what would you say are the things you've learned from each or both?
You always ask the most interesting questions, Chris.
Thank you.
My interesting wins from both. Um, I think it's that, if I knuckle down and I get my head around it, I can achieve and I will get there.
Yep,
Whatever is thrown at me, I will juggle it somehow and I will get there. It's just about being resilient. It's about just believing that you can and knuckling down and getting on with it.
brilliant.
I'm fortunate to have a few amazing business people who I've got to know well over the years that I can occasionally just bounce things off of,
Yep.
which is always really useful when you're a small business owner. But yeah, just believe in yourself and get on with it.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that and I think that a simple um, change of framing of can I to how can I just
Yes.
really it just totally transforms that. Oh heck, this is going to be a challenge. Not can I do it, but how can I do it? And then the answer becomes more obvious most of the time, not always, but
Yeah, I'm sure you know about the power of yet. So that's something I've really started adopting over this past year. I don't know how to do that yet.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
That's a big learning curve.
And I think yeah, and the other good languaging around that is up until now. Up until
Yes.
now, I've not known or yet. So yeah, no, absolutely, it's given us permission. It's the definite of can or can't that doesn't help us. It's the how. It's the I haven't done it yet. It's those sorts of things. It's operating in this world of a lack of surety that allows us to start. We call it third party, and we go over here and say, well, if I was going to work it out, what might I do to achieve that? And then we can play a little bit, and it gives the brain that ability not to be quite so structured, looking for the perfect outcome or the perfect answer or the yes or the no. It's how. Let's go and have a look over here.
Absolutely. And I've long ago let go of perfection. It's progress, not perfection.
Great.
That's my key one.
Yeah, it holds so many people back of like having to get the right answer. And it's just like, well, let's just think there might be more than one. And if there might be more than one, what they be? And then let's pick the one that's most attractive to us right now. And that's all okay.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
And I think you might remember from last time that I love to collect quotes and sayings about success or business in general. Do you have any favourite ones that you've kept yourself using a lot right now?
Just one thing is still my favourite when I've got my to-do list, just head's got too much, just pick one. That's the one you're going to focus on, at least for the next 5 minutes. And usually, once you've done 5 minutes, you've got into that task and then you've
Yep,
nailed it quite quickly. So, just one thing is, I think I might have said last time, is still a thing. And the progress, not perfection.
perfect.
They'll be my two big ones at the moment.
Lovely, love it. And what would you say you learned about yourself on your journey so far, and especially over the last 12 months?
Over the last 12 months, I think I've become much better just at accepting that, things are as they are, and I don't have to be everything. I don't have to be able to do all of the things that are required all of the time immediately. I can just be me. And I'm getting much better at carving out time for myself, which is
Yeah,
one of the
great.
big things we're looking at on the wellbeing workshops with
Yes.
staff. Is, time for yourself to recharge those batteries
Yeah.
and those energy levels. So much better at giving myself permission that it's okay to not achieve everything. It's
Yeah.
okay to not complete the task list, which, let's face it, will never ever be empty.
Uh,
It will always get added to as you're doing things. But yeah, permission to self, I think, is
yeah.
the biggest thing that I've learned over the last year.
I think that's really important, isn't it? And that self-awareness of, and over, ignoring the cultural norms that we learn about, let's say, hard work. We was talking to a colleague of mine today, but we're told from early age, work hard and be successful, and that's true. However, sometimes we'll go, okay, that's true, but right now I just need to rest. I just need to do something else because then I can get back into it more easily and more effectively and get where we want to, and achieve the goal probably more straightforwardly and probably better. Um, so yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And looking forward then, Helen, what does the future look like for you guys and what might be some of the challenges you face, if any?
And if any, it's going to be growing the training team, I think. As
Right.
we get busier, might be looking to expand and get
Yes.
a trainer or two on board. But I'm very much that they need to be at our standard
Yes.
and, and have the passion that every member of our team has, because we're all passionate when we deliver our training. And I think that's one of the reasons that the courses come across so much,
Yep.
and are able to answer, candidates' questions
Yep.
during the course. So finding someone who's the right fit, I think, to join the team will be the next challenge.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Well, hopefully, maybe they might be watching right now, so we'll make sure
Never
that
know.
we give them the details. And again, have you got any new initiatives we should be looking out for over the next 12 months or so?
The big one that's just started, as I mentioned, is the wellbeing workshops. So I
Yes.
haven't put anything about that on the website yet, but it's going out in the newsletters and things towards the end of term, out to our existing vote subscribers and out on social media and things. But I think wellbeing workshops is probably an area for development,
Yeah.
because it's just so exciting. I got headhunted actually. I had a head of a primary school. Head teacher actually come on one of my mental health courses recently, and she just got so much from the course and she so loved it. She just said, Helen, my parents from the inner city school in our area in Leeds said they really need you to come and work with them. And so she's actually got me to do two different workshops. One is a face-to-face first aid for parents, and the other one was a wellbeing workshop for parents.
Brilliant.
But it was absolutely amazing, Chris, because the individuals on the course, within an hour of our 3 hour session one morning, they said, one of them said, we're all friends now, aren't we? And these were people in the community who were completely isolated, who'd recently moved to the school, some of them English not first language. didn't really know anybody. And
Brilliant.
within an hour, just by learning a little bit about themselves and about
Yeah.
looking at themselves and self-care, suddenly they've got this little group of connection, of supports. And this is what we want to nurture in our workplaces as well. We want our staff teams to be looking out for each other.
Yes.
We want people to be promoting positive mental well-being and
Yes.
supporting when somebody's struggling. And I think we talked about last time about the update in L74, First Aid at Work regulations,
Yes.
how there's now that emphasis on employers looking after employees' mental well-being as well as their physical well-being. So I think I'd really love to push that area a lot more over this next 12 months.
Brilliant.
Which is why I'll need another trainer to take on some of the other stuff
Yeah.
to free
Wonderful.
me up to do it, I think.
Wonderful.
So I think that's where I'm looking to put in some energy.
Brilliant. So lots to keep an eye out for, and hopefully anyone that's watching is interested in a career with you. Maybe they want to get in touch, and for anyone that's watching that like to get in touch with you or your company, what would be the best way of doing that, Helen?
Very simple. Just go to the website, all the W's dot underwood-training.co.uk, or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to meet people through that. Love to build up a relationship rather than just get inundated with a direct sale, as I'm sure does anybody else
Yes,
on LinkedIn, on
100%.
the business network there. Or simply drop us an email or give us a call at the office. And if I'm out training, Joanne will find you a slot in my diary for us to catch up.
Brilliant. Well, Helen, it's been fascinating and enlightening and also very uplifting because it's great to hear such great news and good news of everything that you're doing. And thank you so much for your time again. Again, let's swing by, maybe not quite 12 months, but let's make it slightly sooner next time. But let's catch up again soon. But for now, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Chris. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.